Good morning to all. Today we are going to discuss our Unit 4. The Unit 4 name is Reservoirs. So, in our water resource and engineering based, how we are going to store the water through the reservoir. The things we are going to discuss right now. So, the topic is classification of reservoirs. The course outcome of this topic is it will be classify the water resource system components per process to meet desired. So this is the way we have to understand how the importance of the natural reservoir. In addition to that, artificial we have make the reservoir for better improvement of groundwater table. So see the course outcome of this topic is CO4. In addition to that, it will be correlated the program outcome 1, 7 and program specific outcome 1. So see the picture shown very clearly. So it is like a reservoir. So the picture shown very clearly about where compared to the normal lake. Okay, so see the normal places how the water are stored in between the middle of the point, how it will be infiltrated through the ground via the soil, the things. Okay, it is important to us for cultivating anything in the agricultural field or the better improvement of groundwater table. So see the various uses of the reservoir for the irrigation purpose and electricity generation, flood control, water supply for the urban area, and improved navigation system, fish culture, then recreation. Finally, we have to make this all those things like in combinations. So the most and small built for irrigation by damming rivers in low rainfall, then low runoff areas. Why? Because the slow based we have the runoff now. So from there the runoff rate will be increased to us, so slow based, so we have to find low runoff area. The reservoir, how it will be differ from the natural lake. So see the pictures very clearly show that the characteristic dendritic shape of reservoir dam and the characteristic rounded shape of natural lakes. So much in common, both of them are common, whereas the lake naturally it will be having based on the slope area, whereas we have to make the artificially the dam in the flowing water based area. So the reservoir usually have large drainage basin for their size, and the reservoir usually the hangers. The reservoir have greatest depth at dam, so it having the more carrying capacity of the water also. So the quantity of water we can increase where compared to the normal natural lake. Then large reservoir. So through the GIS, we can easily mark where the reservoir occur through the satellite imageries. So the three types of large reservoir like mainstream runoff rivers. The stream will be flow through the runoff of the river area, whereas the tributary storage, that the sub part of the rivers it make like a tributary storage. Then mainstream storage area. So see the right side of picture, sorry, the left side of the picture shown very clearly about the end of the source, it will be going towards the coastal shore. In between we have to make the check dam or dam construction, it will be used to as for the improvement of groundwater. So see the mainstream runoff river. So the arrow mark indicated, okay, so used to generate electricity, the rapid flushing, then little or no stratification, no drawn down, then water release from deep outlet, then most like a river area. So the Columbia River, Grand Police Dam Sea. So these are the places. Okay, there make many of the dam for storage of the water. That is the better to us. Why? Because we can store from this water. This area means in nearby all the places. So see the picture itself. The greenish is formed. Okay, the tributary storage reservoir. So built on smaller rivers, then used for irrigation, flood control, slower flushing, stratified in deep enough, periodic drawn downs, surface outlet, most like natural lakes in area. Then see from here, okay. So the downstream based, okay. So how the water are stored in this area. So large depth of water. than small depth of water. Why? Because here the land surface is occupied, where here the slope is there, so automatically the water can flow from here. Then here we can make the dam. The flow of water content will be through the way. What we have to plan based on that, water will be flow in the river. Then this is the Okon Lake, Hosha. So see the picture there, make a wonderful construction. Then mainstream storage reservoir. So the intermediate in position, like between other types, so more lotic during periods of high runoff. Okay, whereas the quantity of water will be increased. Now from here, this point of view, we can control the flood in urbanization area. So they are more lentic during the other times season also. So the mainstream storage reservoir, so lie in well defined river valleys that exhibit pronounced longitudinal donations. Then mainstream storage reservoir, so see the reservoir zone, traditional zone, then lacoterrine zone. So it is that separately different from the same lake, the zone to zone. So here the river zone will be occur, whereas it is a transitional zone, that is the latin zone. So whereas the flow of water will be different from one area to some other area. So see how much differentiate from one area to some other area, like in zone based. So here the dam construction will see. So see the narrow channelized basin, whereas it is a broader than deeper basin. But compared to that, that is from here the broad, deep, then take like an basin. So whereas it is a relatively high flow rate, here reduce the flow rate, here low flow rate. So here the high suspended solids, low high availability at depth. Here reduced suspected solids, light availability at depth. Here relatively clear, high light available at depth. Here nutrient supply by advection, related to high nutrient levels. Here advective nutrient supply reduced, whereas here the nutrient supply by international recycling, relatively low nutrient levels. Here light limited primary productivity. Primary productivity is relatively here high. Nutrient limited primary productivity. Whereas see from here, the cell losses primarily by the sedimentation particles. Whereas compared to here, the cell lowers so by grazing and sedimentation. Here the cell losses primarily by grazing. The organic matter supply primarily the halocrene footers. Then intermediated, here the organic matter suspended primarily outer roots. Here more eutrophic, here intermediate, here the more choreographic is occurs. So different upon the location, it will be narrow, broader than broad way, it will be classified. Then the flushing rate, okay, how the water are flushed, whereas they compare to the location of the reservoir area to the downstream area. So see, if flushing rate is greater than the doubling time of planktic organism, washout will occurs, whereas the poor development environment for the plankton. The impact on the river, so the lentic system built into a lotic environment, whereas the interfaces with the migrations. So the Pricket Dam, then Mickey Jan. The impact on river, the modified timing, volume of discharges, whereas the interfaces with a life historic of biotia, whereas the trapping materials behind dams, that is create erosional habitats downstream. Then Pricket Dam, see the Michigan, the impact on river, the largest threat, large scale water diversification for agricultural feed, especially in dryland area. Why? Because the dryland will be through the water of river, we can change the mode of usage of soil, all the nutrient in this area. Reduced or zero discharges, loss of downstream wetland and biotia. So they draw downs, so the necessary for dam maintenance, increase flood capacity, remove accumulated sediments. Then drawn downs, so exposure, desiccation of a littoral zone, whereas the pronounced effect on biota. So the benefit and cost for this one, the benefit for this one, it is a development, agricultural field and fishery, whereas in cost based is flooding, modified river reaches, and maybe we can change the flooding cost also. So the classification for this one, the classification of petroleum reservoir rock for the practical views should be as simple and broad as possible, whereas a simple, broad, Primary classification of reservoir rocks based largely on the origin of the rock divides them into three groups. That first one is the fragmental clastic, chemical and biochemical precipitated, then miscellaneous. The chief difficulty in applying any rock classification is that there are many gravitational types that are hard to classify. So it is sometimes useful to classify a reservoir rock as of marine or maybe the non-marine origin. This genetic classification may be combined with a lithologic classification as marine limestone, continental sandstone. It is useful to place the rock in the standard geological time scale and thereby classify it according to geological age. This can be done by combining an age term with the other term. So, example Permina dolomite, non-marine olivine, sandstone, navigation grid. These all those things under the category of for this one. So, these are the reference material. Thank you.